In the quiet suburb of Maplewood, New Jersey, on a crisp autumn morning in late September 2025, residents woke up to the sound of sirens blaring through their tree-lined streets. Police cars and ambulances converged on a modest two-story home at 142 Elm Street, a place that looked like any other in the neighborhood. White picket fence, manicured lawn, and a basketball hoop in the driveway. Neighbors peered out from behind curtains, whispering about what could possibly be going on. The house belonged to the Thompson family. Mark, a 45-year-old software engineer, his wife Sarah, 43, a school teacher, and their two kids, Emily, 16, and Jake, 12. They were the kind of family everyone knew, always waving hello, hosting barbecues, and volunteering at local events. But that morning, something had shattered the normalcy. Reports started trickling in through local news outlets. Apparently, a 911 call had come from inside the house just after 7 a.m. The caller was frantic, barely coherent, mentioning blood and screams. First responders arrived within minutes, but what they found inside would haunt them for weeks. The front door was unlocked, slightly ajar, as if someone had left in a hurry, or perhaps never bothered to close it. Stepping into the living room, officers described a scene of eerie stillness. Furniture was in place, no signs of forced entry, but there was an unmistakable metallic scent in the air. As they moved deeper into the house, the horror unfolded. In the kitchen, Sarah Thompson lay on the tiled floor, her body twisted unnaturally, surrounded by a pool of dark, congealing blood. She had multiple stab wounds, later counted at over 20, mostly to her chest and neck. A bloody chef's knife from the family's own block was discarded nearby, as if the attacker hadn't cared to hide it. Upstairs, in the master bedroom, Mark was found slumped against the bed, his throat slashed so deeply that it nearly severed his head. The kids' rooms were empty, beds unmade, backpacks still packed from the night before. Emily and Jake were nowhere to be found. Panic set in immediately. Were the children victims too? Had they been abducted? Or worse, were they witnesses who had fled? The community reeled. Maplewood, a town of about 25,000 people known for its low crime rate and family-friendly vibe, hadn't seen a double homicide in decades. Social media exploded with posts from locals, "Pray for the Thompsons. This doesn't happen here," and wild speculations about burglars or random intruders. Police set up a perimeter, canvassing door to door, asking if anyone had seen anything unusual the night before. A few neighbors mentioned hearing raised voices around 10 p.m., but dismissed it as a typical family argument. One elderly woman across the street said she saw a shadow moving in the upstairs window, but her eyesight wasn't great, so it was chalked up to nothing. As investigators dug deeper, they pieced together the Thompsons' last known activities. Mark had worked late at his tech firm, arriving home around 8 p.m. Sarah had picked up the kids from after-school activities, Emily from debate club, Jake from soccer practice. They had dinner together, a simple pasta meal, evidenced by the dishes still in the sink. Phone records showed Sarah texting a friend at 9:15 p.m. about weekend plans, sounding cheerful. Mark's last email was sent at 9:45 p.m., confirming a work meeting for the next day. The kids' devices showed typical teen stuff. Emily scrolling TikTok, Jake playing Fortnite until about 10 p.m. Then, silence. No outgoing calls or messages until that desperate 911 the next morning. Forensic teams swarmed the scene. Blood spatter analysis suggested the attacks happened quickly, perhaps within minutes of each other. Sarah was likely killed first in the kitchen, mid-preparation for breakfast, or maybe during a late-night snack. Mark upstairs, possibly hearing the commotion and rushing down. But no, he was found in the bedroom, suggesting the killer moved methodically through the house. No fingerprints other than the family's were found on the knife. DNA swabs were rushed to the lab, but initial results showed only familial matches. The house alarm system, which the Thompsons had installed just a year prior, was disarmed. No logs of tampering. Windows were locked from the inside. It was as if the killer had vanished into thin air, or perhaps never left. The search for Emily and Jake intensified. Amber alerts blasted across the tri-state area, describing Emily as 5 feet 6 inches with long brown hair and braces, last seen in pajamas, and Jake as 4 feet 11 inches with freckles and a missing front tooth. Helicopters circled overhead, K-9 units scoured nearby woods and parks. Volunteers from the community joined in, combing through backyards and abandoned lots. Schools in the district went on lockdown, parents pulling their kids out early in fear. Media descended like vultures. CNN, Fox News, local affiliates setting up live shots outside the cordoned-off home. Reporters interviewed classmates. Emily was popular, captain of the debate team. Jake loved animals, dreamed of being a vet. They were just normal kids, one friend said tearfully. As days turned into a week, leads poured in but fizzled out. A sighting at a gas station 20 miles away turned out to be lookalikes. A tip about a suspicious van in the neighborhood had no plates to trace. Police reviewed surveillance footage from nearby homes. Nothing out of the ordinary, just the Thompsons. Minivan pulling in at 8 p.m., lights flickering on and off normally until around midnight. Autopsies confirmed the cause of death exsanguination from stab wounds, but toxicology reports were clean. No drugs or alcohol in the systems. The wounds were ragged, suggesting rage or inexperience, not a professional hit. Motive? Mark's job involved sensitive data, but no corporate espionage red flags. Sarah had no enemies. Her students adored her. The family was financially stable, no debts, no affairs uncovered. Public fascination grew. True crime podcasts dropped emergency episodes. The Maplewood Mystery, Who Killed the Thompsons? Reddit threads ballooned with theories, home invasion gone wrong, a stalker from Sarah's school, even paranormal nonsense. A GoFundMe for search efforts raised over $100,000 in days. But behind the scenes, detectives focused on the 911 call. It was Emily's voice they confirmed through voice analysis whispering, terrified. "Help. They're dead. Please come quick." The call dropped after 20 seconds, phone found shattered in the basement. Why the basement? And where did she go after?
2 weeks in, a breakthrough seemed imminent. Divers searched a nearby lake after an anonymous tip, but found nothing. Then, footprints in the backyard mud matched Jake's sneakers, leading to the fence, then disappearing. Had the kids escaped or been dragged away? Interrogations of extended family yielded little. Mark's brother in California had an alibi. Sarah's parents were elderly and shocked. Friends described the Thompsons as the perfect couple, but one coworker mentioned Mark seeming stressed lately, muttering about family pressures. Nothing concrete. The case dragged into October, headlines fading but tension simmering. Community vigils lit candles for Emily and Jake, posters plastered everywhere. Police chief held press conferences. "We're pursuing every angle." Privately, they wondered if the kids were involved somehow. Statistically rare, but not impossible. No blood on their clothes found in the hamper, though. The knife had only Mark and Sarah's blood. Puzzling. A stunning development. Authorities announced they had located Emily and Jake, alive, hiding in an abandoned cabin 15 miles outside town in the dense forests of Watchung Reservation. They were dehydrated, scared, but physically unharmed. The siblings had fled the house that night, running through backyards and woods, surviving on berries and stream water. Questioned gently, they described the nightmare, waking to screams, peeking downstairs to see the attack, then bolting out a window. But the shocker? The killer wasn't a stranger. It was Mark. In a fit of undiagnosed psychosis triggered by work stress and hidden mental health issues, he had snapped, stabbing Sarah during an argument, then turning on himself in remorse. The kids witnessed it all, Mark slashing his own throat after realizing what he'd done. Emily made the 911 call from the basement hideout spot, but smashed the phone in panic, fearing he'd come after them even in death. Autopsies later confirmed self-inflicted wounds on Mark, with hesitation marks. The family had no history of violence, but buried records showed Mark's quiet battle with depression. The perfect facade hid a tragedy waiting to erupt. The community, reeling from the twist, now grapples with the unseen struggles behind closed doors.